Oh, wait.
There we go. Welcome to Not Hex, episode 12. I'm very lucky to have RHMAX with me today. We had a chat not too long ago. What was it, about 4 to 6 weeks ago? And
yeah, I think so.
We had a chat about cyber security and other security things. Is that me?
Oh, I think it's me. Sorry, just one second.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Jexa, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, you seem to hide behind your little graphics there when you're talking.
Do I? Is that what happens?
I can see them.
Yeah, I can see them. I should make them lower. Actually, I think there's a way I can make them lower. Less.
My bad. I had the stream up on another computer, and I was like, "Hold on, that can't be my other window because I have my AirPods in." So my bad. Sorry about that.
All good.
How are you, buddy?
Hey, Jexa. How's it going, man? Good to see you again.
Yeah, going really well.
Yeah. Good to have you back on the channel, mate. We today, like both of you asked me the same questions, like, what are we going to talk about today? I don't think we have any shortage of things to talk about when it comes to like the Richard Heart ecosystem, but just in general, security, privacy, which security and privacy are not exactly the same thing. They're different, right? So, so we might delve into that. Did any of you guys have anything you wanted to start off with today?
Yeah, I probably might want to say a bit. Something pretty special is happening at the moment. If you haven't been paying attention, the liquid loan stuff looks imminent. I know RHMAX has been monitoring something, and so he might have a little bit of input on that. But yeah, it looks like we've Fetch is up and running. That's been going for a week or two now. All the whispers I'm hearing that LL's about to push the launch button. It's imminent, so there's no more announcements. So it could be today, it could be tomorrow, don't know. But it's very, very close, which is pretty exciting and means quite a lot for the ecosystem, just in terms of their initial launch, but also what it brings for everyone else.
That's good. That's good. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, what Jackson mentioned too about the monitoring stuff. It's something that I did for a while with Pulse Chain and PulseX and stuff, even 9inch to a certain extent, where 9inch was a little different because it was a landing page. It was kind of a countdown, so that's different. Use different stuff for it, which I also documented too on Twitter. But for liquid loans, if let me share my screen, I can go over the show you.
You got quite a lot you're monitoring for liquid loans, hey? There's quite a few things associated with that one.
I literally just did it today. I was just like, let me since it seems actually close this time, let me bring it up. So that's why because I've already did it a couple times before with the other products and stuff. So I just basically type in a different URL, and I had different tracking and stuff going on before, but this one was just easy to do and just show people like this is all public information. You can go find it yourself. Can you add my screen to the
yes.
Yeah, perfect.
There we go.
So I wrote this up just maybe a couple hours or so ago. Like I said, when I was doing, there's a lot of people talking a lot about Pulse Chain. It's going to launch now. It's imminent. All this stuff forever. It was like for months. It was just on and off. And I was like, okay, is there any way we can actually see some of this stuff without just like hopium? Is there just like any actual technical things out there that you can monitor when stuff is about to go live from a dev perspective? And it just kind of struck me as there's I said I do have a career in security. A lot of this stuff is related to the development lifecycle, and security is kind of part of that too. And a lot of things I did before during different engagements and otherwise, and I was like, there's all kind. There's certificates. There's different stuff you can monitor for infrastructure going up and down, all that. So, anyways, I did a bunch of stuff on Pulse Chain and PulseX and stuff back then before everything launched. And it was pretty cool to go through that and just see everything that was happening. So I use different tools. I got a bunch of threads on Twitter. Type of search for RHMAX monitoring PulseX. You can search RHMAX on YouTube and find videos of me going through like top ways you can see if we're closer or whatever. And there's a website called crt.sh, and what it does is it's basically every time you register a certificate or things that devs do when they're going to launch a new service or something they need to make, they need to have a certificate with, which just means it gives you like the SSL, TLS type of stuff where it's secure website, all that. Anytime they do that, and they don't have to do that for each service, but when they do, it's public information. There's like, you can get a feed from it. And what these websites do, like crt.sh, is they just display it for you. So you can see over time here, just like over different months and time periods, you can see a bunch of different subdomains and just different services or different like docs websites and all that stuff. Testnet, you can see here as well. And then I saw this. I was trying to think of too with this tweet. I was like, I don't know what the URL is going to be. Is it going to be like app or mainnet? Like probably not mainnet, because once you go to mainnet, you really use that. You just use testnet. And then I saw Go, and I was like, is it going to be Go? Because that was pretty recent that they did some stuff with, and it makes sense that that could be the URL. So if we just go right now to go.liquidloans.io, you can see it's got basic auth, it looks like, and it's just asking for username and password, which we don't have, obviously.
You tried admin, didn't you?
I didn't try anything. However, I don't. However, yeah, there are, especially, there you go, security. There are common
password.
Yeah, password 1 2 3. There are common credential pairs and stuff like that. But yeah, for the sake of this demo, yeah, it's just looking at it and being like, okay, there's something there and it's something interesting. Otherwise, they wouldn't password protect it. So, is that the mainnet URL? Is it not? Is that just another URL that's going to be like that forever? When it goes live, is that going to be the URL and there's no more authentication there? You just go directly through the mainnet app? I don't know. That's why I'm speculating.
You might be onto something there, Max.
Never know. I mean, Jexa would know, wouldn't you, Jexa? You going to tell us? No.
I'm not saying anything. What I will say is there has been an absolute plethora of tokens launch called Liquid Loans. So if you go to Dex Screener or somewhere like that and put in Liquid Loans, you are going to get absolutely hammered with tokens there. So be very, very wary of what you're doing. Don't try and front run anything.
Oh man,
just do liquid space loans. Liquid space loan.
It's in the pair already.
Yeah. So just type. We're breaking up a bit here. I'm not sure if it's me or not. Just type in. You still with us, RHMAX?
Yeah, I'm still here. Heard you break up for a second.
Yeah,
I'm still here. Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah. So just be careful. There's a lot of, and I can't remember where else. Someone sent a link in one of our other chats where there's just dozens of them. So be very careful. Wait for the official announcements. Go to Telegram. There'll be the only thing in Telegram that will be giving you the tokens, the token contract addresses, is Combot. Don't look at anything anyone else pastes. I think actually pasting addresses is probably blocked in the Telegram anyway. But even if someone's pretending to be an admin or you think they're an admin, they won't be posting it ever. Combot is the only thing that will be putting the addresses out there.
Yes,
and I'm guessing they'll be on the website as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, they'll be on the website as well.
Places. Yeah. And look, I'm sure from the website you'll be able to get straight into the DApp, which will have all the token information in there. That's another thing within the DApp. There's all the token addresses are within the DApp as well. Can't remember what the tab is. There's one of the menu items down the side near the bottom. Might be information or something like that. That has the actual contract addresses. So go there.
So what happens when Liquid Loans launches? What are we expecting to see? Not from like token prices or anything, but what sort of movement? What are people going to be doing? Are they going to be? Is there like liquidity to add? Like what's going to happen? What can we expect?
So I guess from an order of events from the team's perspective, they've got to deploy all the contracts, and then someone needs to create a liquidity pool with Pulse and the loan token, the Pulse and the stable coin. So in order to do that, someone's going to have to mint the stable coin. So I think the team would be in they would want to be the first people minting those coins and then setting up the liquidity pools. You'd really want the team to do it, because if someone else gets there and messes with front runs that and messes with ratios and things like that, it just makes the chart look a bit messy. So it'd be nice to see the team not get front run on that, and I think they'd have a plan in place to make sure that doesn't happen. So then once all those liquidity pools are set up, they'll all be tied back to things like the fetch protocol and things like that, so that we're monitoring particular liquidity pools. Then we're pretty much open to the masses, and anyone can deposit liquidity however they like. What's important is there will be a reward pool for staking some of the tokens. Now, don't quote me on this one. I'm not sure which one it is, whether it's the USDL pool or the loan pool. I'm pretty sure it'll be the USDL pool will be the one that gets the loan token given out as a yield, because they want to bolster that liquidity pool. And it would make sense to have that done between Pulse and the stable coin. You want to get a bit of depth there. Then we'll take that stable coin and that will pair up with Coast. What else have we got? DAI, USDC. So all those pools will get established then, and that's when you'll start to see a bit of stability. So
in the USDL price, it's USDL, right? Or LUSD?
Yeah, that's right. In USDL. So that may initially that may fluctuate while people are moving things around and setting up pools and getting all the ratios right. But that will be very short-lived. Any discrepancy there, that will get arbed away pretty quick. And redemptions are switched off for 2 weeks. So you can't actually, if the price of USDL deviates from its peg, you won't be able to buy it up cheap and then go redeem it. You can still buy it up cheap and it'll repeg over time, but you won't be able to do instant redemptions. And that's just to protect anyone that's got vaults open in the early stages. But yeah, that's pretty much the flow of it, I think. So yeah, just be careful, guys. You don't have to be first in to benefit from this. It's we're here for the long term, so don't feel like you've got to rush in and do things that you're not comfortable doing. Just take your time.
Yep. All right. So one of the biggest things that's happened in the RH ecosystem in the last 2 to 3 weeks is the front ends, the website front ends coming down. And there's been a bit of discussion in the community about that, debates and so forth. I know it's caused some problems for some people and some linkages, especially in relation to the block scanner, which was scan.pulsechain.com. So what are your guys' thoughts on the and let's just take this from a security perspective, because there's been a lot of, we know from a decentralized perspective, this is better. It's better to be able to do your own thing, right? And everyone be able to do their own thing. But what do you think from a security perspective?
I guess I'll go first. Yeah. So sort of a mess. Definitely a mess. It's one of those things where I think it's a necessary way of going forward. It's one of those, ruthlessly prioritization, got to be more decentralized. And that's the choice that Richard and the devs took. So coming with that means, what we lose what that comfortable thing is from having a centralized authority to be like, oh, if I go to this URL, I'm safe. Like, you lose that with it. There is no hosted URL. There is no place where People are hosting the front end. I mean, I guess people can host the front end for you, but it's not from the official team. So, the confusion, what is IPFS? Like, nobody really needs to know what IPFS is. Like, the new users don't care. They don't need to know. Nobody needs to know anything technical about crypto in order to buy and stake Hex. Like, they can know about the game theory, they can know about the community, but there shouldn't be anything in and I'm leading into this to talk about some of the things I'm working on for it too, of course. But the whole idea is onboarding is most effective when there's no friction. And before going to hex.com and clicking buy or using PulseX or whatever, there was no friction, right? Or as frictionless as possible. You already had like 5 steps to do it. You already had to go get fiat, turn into ETH, and then bridge over, or go find something that hasn't banned it yet and buy all that stuff. So when you do centralized things, a lot of that friction or frictionless steps go away. And now it's like, all right, what do we do? What do we do with dweb.link with a big random hash? Like, what do we do with nobody? Again, as a nerd, I love running stuff from my desktop. Like, that's cool. Nobody's going to do that. Like, there's going to be like 5 people running this stuff, which is the point is it's decentralized. So it's not like the devs didn't
3 of them run the
in order
stream.
for people to use it. It's like the devs did it because the decentralization to show that you that is the way to do it. That is the right way, the religious way, the true DeFi way. But in reality, you're just going to click a link, whether you run on your desktop or you're on IPFS or you use a gateway of some sort. You're just going to click a link.
And it could cause problems from a security perspective when you talk about people not recognizing the hash and clicking on a hash that they think is the right hash or something else and going to the wrong place. So ultimately, that trust in the hex.com brand was, I guess, paramount. But ultimately, it is just one more click, but it's a bit clunky, right? We can all agree it's a bit clunky. What I wanted to do is ask, okay, so that's the security side of it. But what about the private? I mean, can we agree that from a privacy perspective, that running a desktop app and running a local server, which sounds way more complicated than it actually is, because you just download an EXE, click it, and the EXE does everything. It just loads up in a browser for you. Can we agree that from a privacy perspective, that is far better than going to a hosted website?
I just want to clarify real quick. I want to debunk one more click, because nobody's going to take that one more click if they don't understand what's going on and they can't understand that it's going to work for them. So the one more click thing is purely for Hexicans. And I love that we know how to click on this stuff. We know how to trust stuff, but nobody else cares. Nobody else should have to care about any of that stuff. So that's why, I think one more click is there's not a lot of resolution to really get to, hey, one more click. Okay, we're going to say one more click. Say one more click for Hexicans. One more click for Hexicans.
One more click for Hex. That's fair enough. Yeah, because it's not one more click for an onboarder. For a noob, it's not one more click. It's
like you can just look at the comments and see all the people who are not on team one more click. Like all the people who create the gateways, like the other front ends and stuff. They're like, thank you. Like I've been trying to understand this stuff for days. I'm like, Totally. Anyways, I just want to say that it's one more click for Hexicans. But
I mean, I got on my soapbox a little bit. Mainly, I was okay with the whole decentralization of all the apps, and let's face it, doesn't matter whether I'm okay with it or not. It just is. To quote David Feeder, he said, "We're burning the bridges, guys. Burning the boats, sorry," which is true. Like we've pulled up on the boats on the shore, and we've lit them on fire now. So there's only one way forward. So we've definitely burnt the boats. This site here, I think, could, just by giving it a nice touch and adding a little bit more instructions, could probably alleviate half the issues. So without actually losing any of the decentralization aspect, just spell it out a little bit better. That being said, is what it is. What it is doing is it's making other teams step forward. We've got the Hex Scout guys have just come forward with theirs. Go Pulse guys are doing. So all the things are still there. We just
Hex Crypto.
We're just in a
ICOSA.
we're just
There's
in
no
a
lack of
state
front ends. Sorry, there's no
lag.
lack of front ends. It's just that the main brand is now the hex.com brand, which Richard did make a big deal about that when we got that .com brand. Now that's no longer doing what we wish it would do. Sorry, mate.
That's not true. It's still there, and that's still branded. The thing,
but it's not doing what we wish. We wish you could just go and stake, or you could just go to these websites. But let's be honest. I mean, we do have to be honest about this, right? So all these other websites. So we're talking about the Pulse X. We're talking about the Pulse Scan, the Bridge. All these other websites have only been around for like 5-6 months. So how much damage has actually been done, and how much opportunity does this give others to promote alternatives and build up some?
I'll make one more point, then I'll hand it over to RHMAX because he alluded to something he's doing. So all of this stuff, I don't give a shit. Like, for me, it's one more click. Maybe we can make it look a little bit prettier. Like I said, there's a whole heap of community stuff coming out, which I think is ultimately better. It shows the true decentralized nature of the network. The thing that was a breaking change was the Block Explorer stuff. Things like Rabby and stuff are broken. Like, you click on a transaction and it doesn't work now. Like, you can't jump out to a Block Explorer. So that did actually break a lot of things across the ecosystem, which is not brilliant. That'll, I'm sure, will resolve itself with time. And I'm interested to hear what RHMAX has got going on, whether he's addressing some of those issues or not.
Yeah, that's before I talk about the site too, that was the one thing. So we talked about onboarding and security and how this opened. It's a mess for knowing what to trust. Because if you want to do anything but go to the other official site, it's hard to do that securely. Like, again, I built the site we're going to, I imagine, pull up in a moment. And it's like, I want to make sure people don't have to trust me as a website owner. Like, I'm working on something right now that will verify the hashes. I tweeted about it a little bit, get a preview about. Like, there's right ways and wrong ways to use technology to do things. Some things are more secure, less secure, and all this stuff. But I think having the ability to not have to trust people and then not have to, like, oh, I made a front end. Like, there's going to be plenty. I mean, again, power to anyone in the community who wants to build anything they want. Nothing against them, like, totally fine. It's the part where people who want to use these things and people who want to make it easier for people they're onboarding to know what to trust and all this stuff. So that's the mess we're in. One is, how do we trust things people are building, even if they're known in the community, blah, 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 well-intentioned, all that stuff. And then all the scams that are going to inevitably come and try to trick people into clicking on dApps that aren't the real ones, and websites that are, oh, this is just another front end, but it actually points to a different malicious app and all that stuff. Those are the problems we're now facing and we're going to have to deal with. And again, that's just when you go full decentralized, it's just a natural byproduct of that. So it's okay. But it definitely is a growing pain. It definitely, I think it's good though, because it prompted the community to be like, hey, again, Richard's like, I don't work for you. We're like, cool, we don't work for you. So let's go figure this out. Let's go build some stuff. Like we don't need anyone to host the front ends technically. Either we can get off IPFS or build some stuff around it. So the problem I saw with when it first came out was, one, crazy URL that nobody knows what it does. It's like, wow, this is official, but what am I looking at? Like, what is IPFS? What is this URL? Like, this is not go.hex.com. This is not, app.pulsehex.com. So that's the first part. And then the second part is, like, for one, the URL, and then two is just the friction. Again, like, having to go to the landing page. And so say somebody tells you about Hex and you go to hex.com and you're presented with what we saw a moment ago, which was, click one of these IPFS links. First of all, like, what is that? And then it's like, well, it also has all these downloads, way too much information. I already did a video on, like, how I would change if I were the Pulse Chain devs, how I would, like, change the page to be like, you don't see anything but one click, and it says go to PulseX. It says go to PulseX, and that's all. And then there's a little advanced tab click this if you're a nerd, and you click that, and then it shows you everything else. The stuff that the nerds care about. Nobody else cares about anything. Nobody else cares about the 6 different downloads. Again, I'm glad it's there. I love it as a nerd myself. I know the other million people I want on board, they don't care about that. So I think that's a change that I'll make too. But that's the confusing part. That's what I wanted to try to solve with, go real DeFi.
Can I ask? There's 5 of us that are running these desktop applications. How do we get more people to run those desktop applications? And what's the pitch from a privacy perspective? Because there is a privacy benefit.
What is the privacy benefit?
Well, I mean, the packets that I haven't packet sniffed, what's going out, but there's a benefit from not going through a website, going through a third-party website.
The benefit I can think of is if the website was logging data, logging IP addresses, logging stuff like that, then there'll be a privacy benefit of using it on your local computer, just like you would when you're using going to a website to do wallet and stuff like that, just like this. It's like kind of the same concept. But I would think, like, I never assumed that like hex.com or any RH website, maybe they have logging turned off. Like I even have a GitHub page where I talk about the first website that I launched, pulsenow.net a couple weeks ago, how to turn off logging and how to anonymize logs and make sure there is privacy. So I don't know.
But it's not
concerned about the privacy part, but it's not normal.
It's not only, I should say, the website that you're visiting, it's also your ISP. So if you haven't got a proxy or a VPN set up, which I would say most people probably don't. Is there like, I'm just, because as I said, I haven't packet sniffed these packets that are going out when I'm connected to the local server and things are going out, like, and retrieving info from the blockchain. What info are we giving up? What is being given up? Because you are giving up info when you're doing other stuff, when you're going to websites.
I think we just need to take one step back. Like everything you're saying there, totally relevant. The reason why this has been done is at the moment, and Uniswap was a classic example of this, based out of Brooklyn. They got the hard word put on them to block some assets, or chose to block some assets, however that came about. And primarily for anyone in the US, a lot of sites these days, when you go to them, the first thing they get you to do is agree to a T's and C's that you're not from the United States. Running that from your desktop absolves them of those issues. So no longer can you get geo-restricted because you're choosing to interact directly with the code. Now, if you're a US citizen that's doing that, well, then that's on you, but you're not going through a middleman that is regulated in any way. So that's the primary reason why all of these changes have been done. And when I had a chat to the devs, anything that you can connect a wallet to, PulseX, Hex, the Block Explorer, that's why it's gone this way. You've got to break that linkage between anything that may be associated with an entity to do with Richard or whatever, so that that is gone. Now, it comes along with some pros and some cons, which is where we're at, but that was the core reason why it was done.
I give you the privacy perspective for me too. I'm trying to put it in, like, there's a few different pieces. The first one is, like I mentioned, if you're not connecting to a website, it doesn't have a chance to, track you or put you in the logs or whatever. So that's one. Yep. But again, I suspect RH and team, maybe since they have privacy focused stuff, maybe they had logging turned off. Maybe every Hex website has logging turned off, or maybe they don't. I don't know. So that's one piece. The other piece would be transactions, and that's to do with your RPC server. If you're using, for example, you can change MetaMask, change it to the non-Infura RPC, which is what I do when I use Ethereum. I don't use Infura anymore. I add the extra one on there, and when I use Ethereum, which I don't very often, I just choose that one. So I'm not ending up in whatever logs and stuff they have. The other part, as far as like sniffing and like looking at metadata and stuff, so they can't see the data between even your ISP. Like they can't, unless they're installing like root certificates on your computer, which is like nations.
They can't see the encrypted.
Like,
they can't see the encrypted data.
Yeah, they can't see the encrypted, which is the messages, but they can see like metadata. Maybe they see like the site you're visiting or stuff like that.
The header information.
Similar kind of metadata. So they can see that, but what would, again, that's more like censorship part. So I guess, and maybe we should break it up into privacy and censorship. To me, they're related, it's like security related, but they're different. Censorship is, again, the way I'm kind of putting it on a different path here is, do I want to be able to, am I afraid someone's going to stop me from transacting? So do I want to be more private because of that? In America, I don't know. I mean, is America, other countries, I don't surf the web and think anyone's going to censor my stuff. Like it just doesn't come across as that. So to me, that's not as important. That's not like a big selling point until it becomes a problem, which hopefully it doesn't. But as of now, not a big worry.
It is a problem for some people around the world, though. I think it's important to point that out. We are fortunate that all of us live in countries that are quite relatively safe, and we're not persecuted, but there are people out there who are persecuted by their governments, and to have this stuff, extremely as private as possible might be what some people out there are trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you again. I've got to stop interrupting people.
No, that's all right. I'm probably getting laggy sometimes anyways. No, I mean, I can't speak for anyone else's situation. Like I said, just for me personally, I don't think about censorship as much because I don't deal with it on a day-to-day basis. And I think about the privacy aspect when, I want to be private or whatever. But even that is kind of like, again, that comes into like separation of privacy and security where, not getting hacked is the security part. Like not being tracked is the privacy part. And they're very, very different if you go down that road. So privacy, security, censorship, I would kind of bucket those and which ones you care about and which ones you're trying to, solve a problem for. And for me, for the IPFS stuff, it doesn't, I guess it would solve the censorship if they ever took the official front ends down, if by some court order or whatever like that. Not that I wasn't really concerned or otherwise for that, but apparently just in case, a lot of this pushes, we could speculate is going towards, hey, if things go bad or if, or just to strengthen the case of, hey, he doesn't, these guys don't work for anyone, that kind of thing. So that would be like bonus points for that at least. However, it's been up for a long time anyways, and all the stuff's in the past. So there's that. Hey, it used to be called staking all the time. Now it's called mining. Oh, are we doing staking again? Like that's another thing too. It's like Hedron's coming out with HMIs, but now does it still say staking? Doesn't it say staking on the Hex portal now? So like, are we mining?
I think everyone just uses them interchangeably now, don't they?
Well, I think literally the portal says, if you got to go to, I'm going to go to it real quick. I want to see this. I think go to hex.com. Doesn't it say staking again? Let's see. Click on the link. I swear I thought they changed. I was like, dude, did they really change it back? I know on hex.com it says mining, but I'm talking about the IPFS link for the
contract. The actual contract says staking, so that's never changing.
Oh yeah, that's never changing. No, yeah, if you go to the IPFS link, it says stake. It doesn't say mine there. It says stake on the IPFS decentralized app. So, Okay, cool, I guess. So anyways, yeah, the security, privacy, censorship part, and then the privacy part. So the decentralized nature means there isn't a website keeping your IP address. I guess you could say the nodes that are running them, maybe they have logs or something, I guess. So that's one thing that's maybe, if you're super concerned about never being logged anywhere, then yeah, the desktop apps would be your go-to for that because you are the server at that point. Mm-hmm. Security part though, I don't think I'm trying to make a case for the decentralized push better for security. Like there's the downside obviously of more scams are going to try to imitate the websites that you want to use to do it, acknowledged, but also you could say that if the official website ever got compromised, then that goes away now. There's no risk of the websites getting hacked or otherwise because they don't exist anymore. They're not being hosted anymore. So I think it's kind of a moot point on that.
Yeah, I agree. Because if you can trust the website to stake things on it directly, well, then you can trust whatever's on the website as well. But
now we got to trust IPFS hash links on the hosted websites. So there's always that little trust there. Now we got to trust the hashes because that's what everybody compares it from, right? Now we have hashes listed on the website. So now we still got to trust that never gets hacked, which I mean, it probably won't.
But let's face it.
And you still have to trust the exe file. You have to trust that. Yeah, it's like you unless you're a coder, you got to try, and you're going through it and doing your own code review. You got to there's trust along the way somewhere.
But I think that the trust thing we're discussing here, I mean, since day one almost, there's been alternative ways to access the HEX contract. So you've put trust in, whether it's ICOSA, Staker, whoever it is or was, you've trusted them previously. So I don't think we're changing that security model at all. In actual fact, I think when there's large, like when someone does a DNS hack and takes over the core team's site, that's when there's usually issues because everyone implicitly trusts that team. Whereas when you go to a new, or speaking personally here, when I go to a new site or check something out, I've probably got my guard up a lot more in terms of, okay, what's this doing? What am I connecting to? So you're probably just at a default position of, okay, don't trust anything. So I think you should be that way anyway. That should be your default position anyway, is you question everything when you get there first and make sure padlocks look right and things, contract addresses look right and stuff like that. It's onerous, but that's the world we're in.
Did you want to, because I dared to open a web browser again, or my Mac's going to like...
Yeah, do it. Yeah, I want to see what you've been doing, right?
Yeah, it's 40mind pulling up gorealdefi.com. I can walk you through it.
Gorealdefi.com.
Just like our friend Sonia says it.
Okay, let me give me 1 second. Let me bring it up. Gorealdefi.com.
Nice and simple.
Why can't I see this?
You want the link, mate? Got it?
And I've got it. Here we go. My apologies. There we go. Okay. Yes. Oh, you can't get easier than that.
I would love feedback on how to make this more frictionless, but literally this is it. Like, you go to this website. If you want to onboard somebody, go to this website, send to this website. If they want to go to the HEX portal, they click HEX. They want to go to the bridge, they click the bridge. Launchpad goes to Validator Launchpad. Explorer goes to Scan. Exchange goes to PulseX, and Exchange ETH goes to ethhex.com. Good.
Okay, so when I click
that's not me. That's not me. That is the IPFS. So it's funny. I ran that earlier too. So if you click one
for me. So go hexapp.com. What is that? Who's hosting that?
So that is good question. That leads me into like how this stuff works. So this is just a landing page with all the links to these pages that they're hosted, but they're not hosted. It's I mean, Jexa may understand this more too, because it's okay. Familiar with iframes? Have you heard of iframes?
Yep.
Oh, I'm getting a bit of you're breaking up, mate.
I broke up for a second. Yeah, Jexa, have you heard of iframes?
Yeah, I'm familiar with them. You're a bit choppy, mate, but yeah. So yeah, iframes, go for it.
Yeah, so iframe. So if you go to that site and then go stay on that site, but go to the middle of the page or wherever and click and right click it. Anywhere on the page, just right click it and go to view source, view page source, something like that. So this website, it's just an iframe, which is just like putting a website in another website. This is just making the URL gopulsexapp.com. But in reality, you're looking at the decentralized app. You're looking at the exact link. The website does nothing else. but take the link that you would have clicked if you figured it out on the go.pulsex.com, and it puts that in the latest link to have scripts like update the links and all that stuff. It puts that into the website and just gives you that nice URL. That's go.pulsexapp.com.
So for the non-technical people out there, when you go to a website and you see a YouTube video in that website, that's the same sort of thing that's going on. You're just taking something from another website and just plunking it on a different
That's a great
website.
analogy. Yeah, so iframes are used, they get a bad rap. They're like, oh, it's because a lot of malware uses iframes. So you can use them in a bad way, but you can also use them in a good way. You can put YouTube links. You can embed videos. You can embed people use it to embed PulseX for trading and stuff. I'm pretty sure on hex.com, it had, I don't know if it still has it, but it had the PulseX deal where you could trade. And that was probably an iframe, I imagine. That's how they did it. So what this website was, all it does is iframe the entire site. It doesn't iframe part of the site. So all these like attacks, everything I could think of, again, being a security person, and I'd love to reject his opinion too. I can't think of any way to attack this style of iframe because it's a full page. It's not a partial page. It's not there's no clickjacking that I can think of. There's not, I've heard people say that, oh, don't use iframes because clickjacking. I can't think of, I know clickjacking is a thing, but I can't think of how it would be applicable here because it's a full page iframe. It's literally just showing a website of another website fully.
So someone's gone and registered all the URLs, one for each link, created a basic page with the iframe for that one link. I'm just trying to think if there's any vulnerabilities there or if we can simplify it anyway.
Yep, 21 lines of code. The only one that matters is line 20, which is iframe source full page.
So one thing I was thinking, and I don't know enough about this to know whether it's useful or not, is like your .eth domains or .pls domains. Is that something we can utilize? Is there a decentralized way where you could host the IPFS link even more simply? I don't know.
So I have ideas around hosting. I do have ideas around like making the site itself a IPFS app. Or an IPFS site to make it even more decentralized. I'm playing with some ideas there, but I don't know what. And again, I'd ask you too, like what. I try to think in a
Yep, I'm not getting that.
No.
Just choppy.
Lost you completely then, mate.
Sorry, I have no idea. I got to reboot my Mac at some point. This is like dumb, but sorry, I get choppy sometimes. I was saying like, what is the I have all these ideas that I'm playing with of like different things to do. Like I think I'm going to change the URL. I have another URL. I have another domain that's like very and for each of the websites instead of go.pulsexapp.com doing like pulsex.pulsechain-something.com, stuff like that. I don't know on security side, other than verifying the website hashes and stuff like that. I have some stuff around that, but I don't know what else it needs as far as trust goes. Like I don't see any vulnerabilities. I don't see a way to attack it other than the server being compromised. And I actually have some stuff around that to even help people verify things too.
Man, it always comes back to the IPFS hashes, because you could post a malicious build of the go.hex app, go.hex.com app, and redirect an iframe to a malicious build. Like I can't see an easy way to.
That's the same risk that there is with the original go.hex.com site. I mean, that risk always exists with any website that, it can get hacked and people can, put malicious
so
things
how can you, the question is, how can you build that trust? And that's what you're saying about showing you've got to basically
I've got to hash the actual website. So I've got to hash the actual website. I'm working on I posted a screenshot on Twitter. You can look at later too, but I'm working on a way where separate from the website, separate from GoRealDeFi.com, you'll be able, hopefully, if I get this working, you'll be able to click a link that says like verify hashes, and it will actually pull the hash from the official website. It knows what my website should look like. It knows the code, 21 lines of code. Only thing that changes is the title for each one and the IPFS hash. And it will say, it'll take the latest hash and it'll put that, it'll generate a page that has that in it, what my website should always look like when it has updated hash. And it'll tell you if it passed or failed.
Can you just hash when you know it's correct? Can you just hash your HTML?
Yes, exactly. I mean, that's what basically I'm working on, is like a way where it's separate, because it's got to be separate from the server itself now, because the server gets, this is basically a way, if the server gets hacked somehow, then you could replace anything and there's no verification. But if there's a separate server that's pulling data from the websites and pulling data from the official sources and comparing them to what it should look like, that's like a big win for security, I think. And that is another reason you don't need to trust the website. Just click verify hashes. And if you see any fails, then like, hey, something went wrong.
It's essentially a two-factor authentication for ensuring that your website is correct.
I'd say it's a two hash authentication. Verify both hashes. If they're both correct, then it's probably good.
Yeah, so I think what you're trying to solve here is ease of use.
Yeah, so to the website, the two problems here, I'll define what are the problems with the current official websites. One is friction. You go on the page, you don't know what to click. You may click away, you may not go back. And two is, once you do click, you're brave enough to actually click one of the links or download one of the things. Let's say click one of the links. Then you get this URL that looks nothing like any of the trusted things, and your spidey sense goes off, and like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then maybe you still don't go forward because of that. So I'm trying to solve both those problems with this. I have one landing page, simple buttons, big buttons. You click on the one you want to go to. And then once you get there, you don't have crazy URL. You have an iframe of crazy URL and a nice, pretty URL that looks way more official.
Yep. It definitely looks nice and simple, mate. You can't get more straight to the point than this.
Yeah, I think ultimately what we need is sites that we know can be know that they can be trusted.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do with this too. Is like, say, if you click I'm trying to do the verify hash issue to get rid of that. Like, I don't want anyone to trust me or my reputation or anything. If you can literally click the verify hashes and you know how it works, then you're like, if something malicious happened or for me or from anyone else, it gets hacked or whatever, it doesn't matter. You'll know something went wrong regardless of what happened. I couldn't change anything wrong. I mean, assuming that the code is, well, I guess you do got to trust the code that does it is correct. But besides that, like, I'm trying to remove that trust. I'm trying to not be like, I don't want this to turn into who in the community do I trust the most to click on their links. I don't want it to turn into that. I want to be like, who in the community has did enough verification, enough security stuff, and maybe a security expert in real life, who is probably put enough time and energy to make sure this process works most correctly. That's a better framing, I think.
Okay, so let me have a stab at it. I think what this does, this is a portal for non-technical users that can be verified by technical users on behalf of them. So you provide the ability so that technical users can come here and look at this and go, yep, this looks legit. Therefore, they're happy to send non-technical users to that site.
Technical users will send their onboards to this site. That would be a measure of success, for example.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, you need enough tech there so that a nerd can verify it, but you want to abstract enough of that nerdiness so that the average user feels comfortable using it.
Yeah. Because for you, Jexa or 40, you're going to onboard somebody today. It doesn't scale. You want to sit there and you go like, okay, you got to tell them what IPFS. Oh, you got to click on the link. Which link should I click on? Why the fuck is there 3 links there? Like, it kills me. I'm like, no one can understand this other than nerds. Nobody knows which link to click on other than if you're a nerd. It's way better.
One of the common problems I'm seeing at the moment, and I don't get this problem, so I haven't put much time and energy into it, but I've had a couple of people click on the IPFS link. Their browser throws a security message which they can't get past, and whether that's they've got antivirus on or it's something Chrome's doing, I'm not sure. I haven't explored enough, but it's basically a certificate error. This would get around that certificate error because you've certified the domains that are hosting the iframe.
They do have certificates. I don't know if it'll solve that particular problem, but they do have certificates that are verified.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm, because that's one of the biggest issues, is that's a showstopper for people when they go to an IPFS link and it just bombs out, they're stuck. So that would be interesting to see whether it solves that issue. Yeah, it's funny. So I clicked on the bridge one and I got that error that 43 did. Then I just clicked on it again and it's all good.
It's an IPFS node thing. Like, that's like IPFS thing. I don't know why it's like a node is not able to serve as many connections for it or something. I imagine, but that shouldn't happen, I would think. But maybe, I don't know, we got to start running some more IPFS nodes or something.
I'm going to flick this to a guy who I know is having this issue, and I'll get him to test it for us.
I'm sorry, broke up on my end. I know it was fine on yours, but what was that?
Yeah, so I've got a chap who reached out to me who's having that exact issue I talked about. I'll send him the link to your site and get him to go through and see if he's still having that issue.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, and again, I just want to, I say this passionately because I'm like, I want people to be onboarded. I can clearly see this is the opposite of what you would do in sales if you want somebody to buy the product. Like, make them confused, make them unsure, make them feel like they need to go educate themselves before they use it. That's like, you're so much friction. And that's what the community is supposed to do. Like, when they see points and problems and friction, they're supposed to go figure out how to solve it in whatever way or talent they can do it. So, and it's super shout out to the dev team. Like, this is not like criticism or like you guys failed or you guys suck or any of that stuff. I'm almost certain this will be easier in the future. This is just the first initial MVP. Hey, we're decentralized. Got all the pages out there. The community loves it. All that stuff. It's great. Onboards, obviously not so much, but like, this is, shout out to Brett, shout out to Richard, shout out to everyone. I mean, you guys are amazing for so many obvious ways, but we're gonna until things change for onboards, we're gonna help you solve it.
I don't think we should overstate what this does for onboards, though. Like, in terms of them being put off, and the reason I say that is because when you're onboarding someone, they're going through setting up a wallet, and doing all these things that are just so, beyond what they're normally used to doing with computers, just checking their email, or just logging into, a regular website. So for your average onboard, this is not it's just going to be another, this is a crypto thing. If they're brand new, if they're just brand new, obviously people who have already been in crypto, if we're talking about those types of onboards, they're going to, they might see this as, but that can be, if they've been in crypto, they'll understand why IPFS is being used. Like, that discussion is a bit easier, but still, once again, it would be just nicer just to have go.hex.com just work, I guess, and all that stuff, which might.
We talk about friction. Have you ever tried to open a bank account recently? Like, the amount of bullshit you've got to go through to open a bank account, it is maximum friction at the moment. Oh, hell yeah. Even with banks that I'm verified with, it's still a mission. So you think
this is not getting a loan. This is not to get a loan.
This is setting up a bank account.
Just setting up a bank account. Okay.
Yeah. First of all, just try and get an appointment with them to go and do it. Like, it's 3 steps just to get the appointment. Then you get the appointment, and then you've got to have a raft of information. And they pull everything apart these days, especially if it's a business account. It is insane, the level of information and that they're after, and documentation that they're after. So you sit here and you go, this is a lot of friction. It's not. Trust me, it's not a lot of friction. It's different.
I would like to see the. I know we don't have any numbers, but if I were to wager on the amount of people who, after these changes were made, all the apps and whatever they were using, they're using Hex app, or they're using PulseX or whatever. The amount of people who haven't even used it since and went to seek alternatives, which maybe you can use Pitius, you can use other stuff, But the amount of people who just like, nope, I don't get it. I'm just gonna. What's the other site? What's the app.posta.pro site? What's the PDS website? What's the other thing? What's fucks? They'll go over and I'm gonna speculate. There's a lot of people in the community already that have they're still confused by this, and they're just gonna go use some alternative. They don't want to use the official links, and maybe that's okay. But
and maybe that's the point.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think the official. I think for branding alone, the official link should be the premier way of doing things. For the advanced users, they use something else. But I think ideally, the official ones would be the best. And if they're not the best, they still need to be pretty good for branding. If nothing, you can't imagine you tell somebody, oh,
it's a droid. It's not the droid we're looking for.
It's like
you might have to switch your video.
They don't even have a cool website. Sorry, I got to restart this computer at the stream. But they don't even want to go. You can't even tell them to go to the official. You don't want to be in a situation where you can't tell them to go to the official website because it's too much. That's my point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I do think that the community and the ecosystem has gotten a lot more broader now, where people are just going to have to be comfortable with doing a lot of different things if they want to participate in all the weird and wacky stuff. When you look at Ethereum, there's a lot of teams that run the premier front end, but there's also a lot of teams that don't. And Etherscan's a classic example. Is that run by the Ethereum Foundation? That is the premier block explorer across many, many chains. It's not run by the Ethereum Foundation that I'm aware of. Maybe an offshoot.
Everything is run by JP Morgan. Everything.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And they are definitely logging your IP address.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Max, thanks. I know that you've got a strict schedule that you're adhering to. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your insight, and that's a fantastic site that you've put together. I think it's nice and clean and easy, and I think that adds value to the to all of us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate it, guys.
And I wasn't trying to be critical. I hope any feedback I gave you was taken sort of in the way it was meant, was just let's see how we can improve things as much as we can. So hats off, man. That's great that you're out there changing things and improving things when you see there's an issue. So well done.
Just before we wind up, quick question: do you guys think that we're going to see those websites back online if we can see a resolution to all the SEC
I think they're decentralized forever. I don't think they're coming back. Decentralized forever.
Yeah. The boats have been burnt.
The sale. What do you call the not the sale, but the boards on the sale? Like they're all being like this. They're already on shore. They're not even with us anymore. They're all gone. Already disassembled. Thank you both for having me on. I appreciate it. No, the feedback, and I don't take anything offensively like that. Like I want to know. Like I want to know. Like, hey, again, that's why I asked you about the security part. I'm like, I can't think of anything wrong with it. Security person, I don't know. I've asked other people. There's iframes. I keep hearing it, and I'm like, can somebody instead of saying iframe scary bad, it's like, can you tell me exactly how you would attack a website with iframe like this? Can someone tell me? I haven't heard anyone say that. So, that's one actually too. And again, shout out to Richard and Dev team. This is purely constructive criticism, and we take what you got, and we try to make on Earth.
I didn't quite catch that, but
I said we take what Richard's built and we try to get people on the greatest ecosystem on Earth.
That's it.
Absolutely. Here. All right. Well, Jacob, what do you want to do? We've got happy hour in about an hour. If you're coming back.
Yeah. I'll bounce as well. I want to try and get a bit more stuff done, be a little bit productive, and then I'll
All right.
come back and we'll chat again.
We'll wind it up. All right. Thanks a lot to everyone who's watching. We'll catch up with you soon. See you later.
Good to see you again, Max.
Yep. See you, man.